Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a deck profile for Gardevoir EX in the post-rotation format, which is still looking like it will be pretty decent just because of the power of Refinement Curlia, giving the deck tons of draw power in combination with Codebreaker, Divine exactly what you need. The deck still has a lot of ways to win, despite losing its best attackers, which are going to be the Shining Arcana Gardevoir and Zacian V, both of which have the exact same attack, where you just load the energies onto them and they smack for big damage. Gardevoir now has to kind of adopt new attackers in the form of Drifloon and Screamtail. Screamtail, which the deck already played, and Drifloon, which kind of was already toyed with, but now that Gardevoir and Zacian are gone, we actually will have to play Drifloon as the main source of damage. But the deck does gain some new tricks as well. And so we're just going to get right into it. Starting with the Pokemon here, which is going to be 4 Ralts, of course, and 4 Curly. Refinement Curly does stick around, which I think is what is going to keep this deck's kind of lifeblood, is going to be having the Refinement still such a powerful option. And of course, Gardevoir's Psychic Embrace ability as powerful as ever. And Max Miracle Force on the Gardevoir 2 Psychic cards for 190. Still pretty decent. Gardevoir X is a pretty okay attacker as well. We are also playing a Gallade now. Some people play this in the past, but just ultimately Steam not good enough. But now it's actually looking a lot better. Buddy Catch, unless you want your turn to search your deck for a supporter card, which is really good in combination with the new Codebreaker that lets you search your deck for any 2 cards, put them right on top. So this is essentially Buddy Catch lets you just search your deck for any 2 cards you want, which is super good. And Swirling Slice, 3 colors for 160 on a single prizer is not bad. So I think Gallade definitely has a place in Gardevoir now. And then Drifloon, which is going to be your big main attacker now, which has the Balloon Blast, which does 30 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon, which obviously combos very well with Psychic Embrace, which will put damage counter on you. However, that is only maxed out at 180, so instead we are playing, or I guess alongside we're playing 2 copies of Bravery Charm, which will buff the Drifloon's HP all the way to 120, which with 5 energy Psychic Embrace onto the Drifloon means you're hitting 300, so you're going to be hitting high damage for even less energy than the Shining Arcana Gardevoir did, which is a pretty solid option. Additionally, Cresselia is still in the deck and still really powerful. And then Screamtail as well, Roaring Scream, was played before, and people toyed around with the idea of playing Luxurious Cape to buff the Screamtail's HP by 100, so it actually snipe for one shot. But now, Bravery Charm is still pretty decent, buffing your HP all the way to 140. If you did Psychic Embrace 6 energy onto that Screamtail with the Bravery Charm, you're sniping 240, which will KO Evolving V's and things like that. So Screamtail and Drifloon are going to be your main sources of damage, just because of both have the nature that they need damage counters on them, and combined with Bravery Charm to buff their HP, that will make them a lot more formidable of an attacking force. One copy of Rain and Greninja, which is just still a mainstay in the deck, super duper powerful ability, because we want to pitch energies and get them in the discard pile so we can Psychic Embrace them back. One copy of the Minion V, which will be useful for the kind of the same reason that the Gallade is useful, just because they have a lot of really good supporters in the deck. We want to be able to find them. Lumineon V can also use Forest Seal Stone as well, which is just a big benefit to playing a V Pokemon. And then, of course, the 1 Manaphy and 1 Jirachi, which, of course, stay in the list as ways to get around Sableye, which will definitely still be in the format Manaphy, protect against Rain Greninja attacks as well. Supporters, we're going to have 3 copies of Iono. Because our deck still kind of retains the identity of like a kind of slower deck that likes to come up from behind in the combination with Iona spam. However, now Codebreaker is going to be, I think, a little bit of a better option to play in the early turns, which is why we're coming down to that 3 Iono. Obviously, still super strong. We want to be using them at the end of the game if our opponent's in awkward spots. But Codebreaker, we're playing 3 of them, which lets you search your deck for any 2 cards you want, shuffle your deck, and then put those chosen cards on top of your deck. Which is, if you played it with Mallow, is the exact same effect as Mallow. But when we have Refinement Curly, which discards the cards from our hand and conveniently draws 2 cards, Codebreaker is really good, because we can just stack those cards on top of our deck and then draw right into them. And when we have such powerful item gusting in the format as we do with Prime Catcher and Counter Catcher, both of which are in the list, Codebreaker can basically just be a boss if you need it to, and in one of the cards. So Codebreaker, I think, has a really strong place in Gardevoir now that is being released. And we still have some other supporters. 1 copy of Research, So we can get more energy to this card power if we need to. We can search it out, pick it up right out of our deck with Buddy Catch, Gallade, or the Minion. One copy of Boss, which will total our deck to having 3 Gust Outs, 1 Boss, 1 Prime Catcher, 1 Counter Catcher. They're all situational cards, and they're all good and bad depending. So we're just going to have that 1 copy of Boss for that option. 1 copy of Tulip, which allows you to put 4 in a combination of Psychic Pokemon and basic Psychic Energy from your discard into your hand. So this is useful for retrieving your Drifloons. Obviously, useful for retrieving all of your Psychic Pokemon. You don't have to go through the hassle of super riding them back in and then finding them again. We can just Tulip, we can retrieve them right then and there, and then you also can get energies back with it if you want to. So you can get energy back and draw cards with Greninja. Or since our deck isn't as demanding of energy as the Shining Arcanas and Zacian were, we can actually retrieve energy, so we can actually stream our manual attachments to Pokemon if we need to do that as well. Mainly keeping our Gardevoir EX healthy if we're attacking with that. So that's a pretty decent option. And then we have 1 copy of Professor Turo's Scenario staying in the list, which can still make things awkward, removing 2 prizes from play, mainly the Minion and Gardevoir, obviously. You can use it to reuse Greninja if you want to, but you're probably not going to be doing that. It's mainly useful for removing Gardevoir from play and removing the Minion from play. And then going into our item cards. This first one is a new one. This is kind of like the quote-unquote reprint to battle VIP pass. It's a little bit worse and a little bit better. It allows you to search your deck for 2 basic 70 HP Pokemon and put them right onto your bench. Now, obviously, this is not limited to only turn 1 like VIP pass, which means that you can use this in the mid-game to get Drifloon as your attacker or to reestablish Ralts. You super rotted back in if they're knocked out. So I think the Buddy Puffin is super duper good. And then our other search cards are going to be 3 Ultra Ball and 3 Nest Ball. And a lot of the search cards that Gardevoir did play pre-rotation are actually rotating. That's going to be Level Ball, Fog Crystal, and VIP Pass. Those are some of the best cards, namely Level Ball for getting our Curlias. Getting our Curlias can be really annoying, which just makes Codebreaker that much better because we have a Codebreaker and a Refinement. Then we can our Codebreaker, put 2 Curlias on top of the deck, Refinement into them, and then we can evolve them right up. And if we're able to get that Ralts down, and we should be able to get a bunch of Ralts down pretty consistently because of Buddy Puffin. So those are still pretty good. Ultra Ball, obviously, you need to discard energies from your hand, and that does that. It will fetch out Gardevoir EX, which we obviously do need, as well as the Minion. So Ultra Ball and Nest Ball, the other search cards alongside the Buddy Puffin. I mentioned the 2 Super Rod. We have 1 copy of Rare Candy. I can see this going up, but we just have so much easy access to any card in our deck with Codebreaker plus Refinement that we can Codebreaker for our Gardevoir and Candy, even if we only play 1 Candy, and then Refinement into them, which is a super powerful option for getting off quick and aggressive attacks. I mentioned the deck is still pretty slow, so you're not going to you might not want to be turn 2 candying every single game, but you can still have the option in the deck, and it's just you have so much easy access with Codebreaker. We have 1 copy of Counter Catcher and Prime Catcher, as I said, for the other gusting options. 2 copies of Braver Charm, which is useful for buffing your Drifloon and Screamtail, obviously. 1 copy of Steel Stone for our Luminion, and then 2 copies of a new stadium, which will be Moonlight Hill. This one is pretty good. Allows you once your turn to discard a Psychic Energy from your hand, and then heal 30 damage from all your Pokemon, which is pretty powerful because of the nature of Drifloon and Screamtail. So Drifloon, which when you attach a Braver Charm to it goes up to 120 HP, and the Screamtail, when you attach a Braver Charm, goes up to 140. Because Psychic Embrace damages in increments of 20, means you're only actually able to get even amounts of damage on to your Drifloon and Screamtail, which means that their attacks are going to be a little bit limited because they still have 10 HP remaining that you could damage onto them to make their attacks, which rely on the damage counters on, but do a little bit more damage. For example, Drifloon, if you have a Braver Charm, you go up to 120. You can only Psychic Embrace up to 100 damage on there because Psychic Embrace doesn't want to knock out a Pokemon. You can only attach 5 energy, deal 100 damage to it, and then Balloon Blast will deal 300. But if we're able to Moonlight Hill, that actually will heal an increment of 10 damage, which means that then we're able to Psychic Embrace 2 more energies, bring us up to 110 damage on the Drifloon out of 120, and then Balloon Blast will hit for 330, which will, obviously, that's a big deal. It allows you to one-shot Charizard, it allows you to one-shot other Gardevoir EXs, so that's some pretty good math. Screamtail, a little bit less relevant. You attach a Braver Charm, you go up to 140. If you damage yourself to 130 via the Moonlight Hill, Your Starmie 260, which doesn't get too many KOs. It will KO, I think, a lot of Stage 1 EXs, for example, Golden Go EX. But other than that, 240 is still, I think, pretty good number. So the Bravery Charm is still pretty useful. Or the Moonlight Hill is not as useful for the Screamtail as it is for the Drifloon. But then we are wrapping up the list with 11 Psychic Energies, which is, I think, a pretty good amount. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't played much with this, but I have to imagine that Fighting Energies is a little bit harder now that we don't have Fog Crystals. So there's a world where you bump up the basic energy count more. But for now, this is what I have. If you guys like it, don't forget to like. If you guys want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.